Hello, everyone. We're here for another Friday live of Unlock Your Way with STK. And today, I'm super excited for this conversation with Darren Gibb, the greatest Scotsman since Duncan MacLeod. And for those of you who know who that is, you know I'm pretty serious about this conversation. He is a LinkedIn genius, a content strategist, and conversion guru for coaches. Welcome, Darren.
Thank you very much, Suzanne. How are you? Yeah, I've got to
I'm
say,
awesome.
I'm not too sure who that Scottish person was, but I just said, yes, that sounds very good. I like that. I hope he was
Yes.
a nice person because a lot of Scots
Well,
who weren't so nice if you look at the old history books. So I hope he was one of the nicer ones, Suzanne. How are you getting on, my
well,
friend?
well, it's from the Highlander series, and you know, I was a big fan of that series, and he was super resilient and
Oh,
gritty and just he couldn't die unless you beheaded him, and then he came back. So it
wow.
really incredible show.
That's
Like,
a hell of a superpower. I'll be honest. That is a hell of a superpower to have.
yeah, I forget how many years he lived and how long the story went on, but it was one of my favorites. And you're also in the style of Gary John Bishop, who I actually another Scotsman I really love. And I don't know whether it's the accent that is so distinctive and it just really makes people pay attention. So I say use it.
It could be. It's one of those things. It's funny. It's like whenever, as we'll probably get into and speak about later, at the right stage in a DM conversation, we
Mhm.
naturally do want to be. Well, before anything, I'm an idiot and fell off a 40 years old, Suzanne, 40 years old, fell off a bloody bike. Well, cycling with my girlfriend, had a
Mhm.
lovely day planned, going along, happy as could be, not a carefree, not a jot in the
Mhm.
world. Turned round to tell her a hilarious joke, and it was going to be bloody hilarious, as I'm sure you can appreciate. Hit a little pothole, came flying off, and fractured my wrist in two places. So that's what this monstrosity is. It's not some kind
Nice.
of like sarcastic anti-Halloween kind of like dressing. It's not a promise. It's
Well,
an
how's the
injury.
typing going? Keeping up with your content,
Not really. Listen, this is a genius using text-to-speech AI
right?
software. It can even pick up these dulcet tones of my accent as well,
Thank
Suzanne.
God.
So
Thank
yeah,
God.
I know. I know. There was a lot of years where us poor Scots got left behind in the voice to text revolution, but we're
Yes.
finally okay. Siri just freaked out when it first came out 10, 12 years ago. So I'm quite happy it's not so bad now. But
Well, that's good. I'm
yes,
glad you're
so the
feeling
voice
okay.
notes, going back to the accent, the voice notes at a very deliberate, strategic point
Yeah.
within a DM conversation. It always gets a really good response from our transatlantic brothers and sisters like yourself. Oh, love your accent. Oh my God. I'm 116 Scottish and 116 Malay and things like that. Beautiful.
Yeah.
I love it. English people, not so much of a fan. They tend to go, you fucking jocks. Thanks very much. Lovely to meet you too. Anyway, I digress, Suzanne.
Well, let's talk about since I started following you, which I don't remember how long it's been. It's been a while.
Hmm.
You have really not only been successful on LinkedIn, growing your followers, your engagement, but you've been so consistent. And talk a little bit about what that looks like when you help someone else do that.
Yeah, so well, I mean, it's one of those things. It's a little bit like the word authentic. Be
Yeah.
authentic. What does that mean? Be consistent. What does that mean? So I think, first thing about consistency, I would say is that consistency doesn't mean being consistently shite. It doesn't mean
Mm, mm,
consistently putting out low quality content. I
right.
always say to my clients, give me 3 high quality bits of content a week as opposed to 6 bang average bits of content a week. So being consistent is about doing what you love, right? It's something you're a great example of this, Suzanne. It's what I massively admire about you.
Oh,
You
thank you.
truly do what you love. There's no getting around it.
Yeah.
It's I was a high school teacher for 10 years. I love teaching. I think that's why now I don't consider myself to be a coach. I am still a teacher.
Mhm.
But there were days, even when teaching, due to the internal politics of teaching, which is just horrific, I would get out of the bed and think, I can't be bothered. Fuck, I can't be bothered going in
Yeah.
today, right?
Yeah.
Whereas I don't know about you, but I can't remember the last time I woke up, Suzanne, and thought, I can't be bothered. Oh God, I've got this client. I
Yeah.
never wake up
No.
feeling that, right?
No. No. And I was a dental hygienist for 20 years before I became a coach.
Right.
And I I mean, I can't say I hated what I was doing, but the parts that I loved were the, every hour I got to talk to a new person. Every hour, all and so when I connected those dots, I've always been an entrepreneur. I've started different businesses, right, while I was a dental hygienist, but the dental hygiene thing was the stability and the benefits and all of that. But when I became a coach, imposter syndrome, who am I to be doing this, blah, blah, blah.
Sure.
And somebody connected the dots for me between the, 40 hours a week as a dental hygienist, talking to a new person every hour from all different walks of life, from, 2-year-olds to 85-year-olds, and they connected that for me and said, "You will never have a problem as a coach because you know how to build rapport and you know how to talk to people."
Interesting. Interesting. And I think teaching verges into that quite a bit as well, right?
Yes,
Seeing up to
yes,
120 kids a day, having to remember that was always my big thing. I'd always, without going too much in, I always liked the kids who were what other teachers would call challenging, I would just call normal human
yeah,
beings, the
yeah,
non-A students, give the A students a fucking textbook. They'll pass. I promise you, they'll pass. They'll be all right. It's
mhm,
almost that mentality. So I like the ones who were out, was completely, they were challenging and they had no hope and all that. But I find
yeah,
myself getting quite angry with teachers. They'd say, oh, such and such, he or she's just a little bastard. They're so badly behaved, so disrespectful. I would always say, what have you done, Suzanne, to build a bridge with them? Because they're
right,
an adolescent teenager whose hormones are all over the place and they don't know who they are in this world. So what have you done to establish connection as an adult with this individual? Not another
yeah,
number, not a number on a register, not a number on a, to tick off that they've done their homework, but individual. So I think you're right. I do think that in the world that we both share at the moment, there's a huge thing there. And it is about people. It's,
mhm,
it's the learners were always at the center of everything I did as a teacher. And that's just now my clients are at the center of everything that I do as a teacher.
yeah,
If they're not successful, I can't be successful. And it very
right.
much maintains that way.
Well, I just heard a connection for you about, when you were a teacher, engaging those more difficult students, and engagement is really a hot topic right now.
Mm,
And you could look at
like how you did
engagement.
that. I like how you did that, Ms.
You like
Taylor
that?
King. That was very nice. Go on. Very nice.
Um, well, engagement, everybody talks about wanting engagement on social media. Oh, you want people to like and comment on your stuff, right? Which is nice, but it's vanity metrics.
Yes.
True engagement is when somebody doesn't like, doesn't comment, and sends me a DM about a post and says, "Suzanne, I felt like you were speaking to me," or "Well done on that post. I really enjoyed your story. My post today has a story about meeting a billionaire, and I knew who he was. But we met at the dog park. I had a Great Dane, he had a Great Dane. I used the dogs as rapport, right? It was I couldn't have scripted it better, and I didn't plan the meeting, you know? That's the kind of engagement that is really key in the world of social media distractions.
110%. I mean, engagement for engagement's sake is pure bullshit. Let's just call
Right,
it out right now.
right,
Easiest thing in the world is to spend a quarter of a second, not even that, a millisecond, tapping a like button and scrolling on. That
right.
doesn't mean anything. So these influencers who have got 50, 100, 150, 200,000 fans, and they appear like fans, and they've got 500, 1,000, 1,500 engagements,
Yeah,
it means nothing. And
Right.
if all the comments are, I love this, you're great, okay, great, you've got fans, but
Right.
fans don't pay the bills at the, well, unless it's only fans, but fans tend to not pay bills at the end of the month, right?
Right.
They're the ones that will be the cheerleaders and give you that. But, you know, yeah, I mean, the whole idea of LinkedIn, Dan Roth, the editor-in-chief, about 18 months ago, said when something goes viral on LinkedIn, we start sweating, because that's not how this network's meant to work. We do not
Wow.
want things going viral. So that's
Wow.
why we don't tend to see big numbers compared to the Instagrams, the Facebooks, and so on. And I
Yeah.
think that's a good thing. I think we also need to notice that, yes, the reach is down. How many people get
Mhm.
to see your post? Do you remember, Suzanne, when I started out, post
Yeah.
a picture of yourself, say hello world, and you'll probably get at least 5,000, 10,000 people showing
Yeah.
up in their feeds. That's gone dramatically down. But again, I think it's actually an opportunity for us as marketers, content creators, and any coach who says I'm not a marketer, that's why you're failing.
Yeah.
That's why you're not winning
Yes.
clients,
Yes,
because you
please.
are.
Please, coaches who don't want to market yourself. I've met one coach in the last year who's been a coach for 30 years.
Right.
Well, actually, two coaches in the last year who charge ridiculous fees. They don't barely have a website. They don't post on social media, but they've been coaching for 20 and 30 years respectively,
Mm-hmm.
and they work with such elite clients. Those elite clients aren't on social media anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So, and they refer to other elite clients because they've gotten good results. There's no billionaire on LinkedIn searching for a coach.
Yes.
You have to go meet them somewhere.
Yes.
Somehow
100%.
you have to go, you have to research, and you have to figure out how to meet them in real life. So that's my soapbox for coaches. Like, it's not going to happen if you want to work with, millionaire business owners. They're not scrolling social media looking for a coach.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't
Mm-hmm.
happen.
Exactly. And I would even perhaps suggest that nobody's really scrolling social media for a coach or for a coach. We know only
Mhm.
3% of people who are looking at your content, Suzanne. 3% are problem
Mm,
aware and actively looking for a solution. Only
exactly.
7% more of them are actually fucking problem aware. So that
Right.
means 90% of people, 9 in 10 people checking out your content aren't aware they have a problem. So what do we
Mhm.
do? This is where so many of the fucking gurus get it wrong. Oh, speak to pain points, speak to problems. How can you do that if they're not
No,
aware? You're a
no.
multi-millionaire person who needs coaching. They aren't necessarily intrinsically aware of the pain points, but they
Mhm.
are aware of symptoms. If
Yes.
I've got a strange cough, it sounds like that. For example, people, hello
It
everyone,
sounds like the
me on
dog.
LinkedIn. Hello, yeah. If I
It
had a
sounds
cough
like
like that,
the dog from Saturday Night Live that Kramer was coughing like. Sorry, squirrel. Just
that's all right. I don't know
sorry.
what you're talking about. Yeah, do tell me
I'll
that.
share the episode with
I
you.
like
It's
that.
very
I
good.
like that. Thank you, Suzanne.
You're welcome.
So if I've got a cough like that, right, and we
Yeah.
go, oh, a bloody cough of mine, and you say, Darren, that doesn't sound good. Have you been to the doctor? No, 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 I'm all right. Well, Darren, my uncle had a cough like that and he was dead within 12 weeks. He was coughing up blood. Do you have any mucus that's kind of red colored? Yeah, I do. Right, bollocks, I better get to the doctor. So
Uh-huh.
because you're symptom aware, you have me symptom aware. And that's
Mhm.
what our content should seek to do. Our content
Yeah.
should be a conduit to the symptom, not the problem. Because if 9 in 10 people don't have a bloody clue that they have the problem, we need to speak to that symptom instead. So instead
Yeah.
of saying, for example, your DM game sucks, no. Why is it you're not getting the engagement? Why are you getting ghosted? Why do people not seem to open up to you in the conversations? Those are the symptoms of a poor DM game. Rather
Mhm.
than saying you don't know how to use direct messaging, you need a strategy. So playing to the symptoms is so important rather than the problems. I think
Oh, yeah.
that's one thing that people really get confused about. And they also try to be for everyone. And that's a massive problem, Suzanne.
Yeah.
I love you all. There's probably combined, I think there's about 15 watching at the moment on LinkedIn and everything. Lovely. Thank you. Certainly my channel. if anybody here doesn't particularly like the way I speak, this fact that I say the word fuck quite liberally, the way I look, the way I sound, that's okay. I've not got a problem with that.
Right.
You can just click off this and not watch anymore, and that's okay. We can still be friends if you want. It's a bit weird, but we can still be friends. I don't need you to be my biggest fan. What I need are a certain amount of people to be, and that's how I have a sustainable multi-six-figure income every single year, because I've got a certain amount of people who just get me. We want our content to attract and repel, and that's the main reason people's content doesn't land. And executive coaches, I'm looking at you. I couldn't give a shit about your free workshop. I couldn't give a damn about your masterclass. I could not give a rat's ass. Really pleased to be invited to be speaking at the recent event about. I couldn't care. So many executive coaches, and it's through no fault of their own, Suzanne, but they're doing very old school marketing that no longer works, right? What are your observations of these executive coaches, especially? I see it in. What do you see, Suzanne?
Well, same. So I know there's lots of business coaching franchises out there, and good for them. They're making incredible money offering a business like solution to people who don't like know how to be a business coach. So they give you a turnkey solution. And here's what I noticed, that 900 coaches from this one company are all marketing themselves with the same language, the same headline, the same post, the same ebook that they try to give away.
Who the fuck reads ebooks in 2024?
Nobody.
Drop a yes in the comments if you honestly read ebooks. Thomas, I see you. Nice to see you, brother. Jeff, lovely to see you as well. Drop a yes in the comments to Suzanne's page or my page. I'm looking at them here. If you honestly download and read ebooks, if you do, you're really into that individual and you're a dead sell. But I would say the vast majority ebooks. Sorry, Suzanne, I interrupted you.
No, it's so important to look at what is modern and what is, and to understand, and I say this like a freaking broken record all the time, providing massive value to other people is not the top of your funnel and some lame thing I'm going to download. That is not how you provide value to other people. And I run an event that's called Ask and Give. And I run this event for other communities, not just my own, but others. And basically, the premise of it is coming to this event, getting to know people. So it's like a hybrid networking event. But the goal is to give something that's of massive value to the other people in the room. And I have to explain every single time I run this event, I have to say, massive value is not the top of your funnel. Massive value is not the top of your funnel. Massive value is not your opt-in. And I repeat it 5 or 6 times, and we'll get to somebody in the meeting and they're like, "Oh, I have this great ebook on da 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 da." And I'm like, "No, you're not hearing me." So hear me now, anybody who's listening, providing massive value to other people is not the top of your funnel, does not involve subscribing to something that I'm going to download. So just stop doing that. Thank you for the rant.
No, I absolutely love it. I love it. Flora in the chat has said that she reads ebooks, and that's all right. Great.
Okay.
Flora, absolutely fine. Fine to you. There can be value in them, but here we go. Flora, I love you, but you know the way I am. I think sometimes we read shit to pretend we're getting shit done. And we're not actually, because genuine value is rarely truly delivered in an ebook. I've certainly made no money through free resources. I think that we do when we're able to, and I'm being very sensitive here, but when we're able to invest, we can. But an investment can be a $27 product download, a $47. I've got some crazy investment from that naturally makes me a few bucks. What do I then do, Suzanne? I invest in that mid-ticket value. that of
Yeah.
the same person. Okay, this got me here, so I'll invest to there, and that's $500, and then I'll go up to that high ticket just
Mhm.
simply on the value that I'm being given by this individual. But yeah, free resources are really useful. Thank you, Flora. I love you, my friend.
Yeah, she's awesome.
Free resources are useful to get people into your world. But to
Mhm.
your point, I think that the massive value, I would say there should be a lot more value in this chat that we're having right now than any ebook that we put together, right? It's
Oh,
it's a lot more
100%.
interactive, more and
Yeah.
enjoyable, I think. So
Yeah.
there's lots of different ways for Laura to read out a guilt. That's fair enough, Laura. So I think there's lots of different ways in which we can do marketing. There's definitely
Mhm.
not one size fits all. For some people, Suzanne, they will get lots of that giving massive value. Hormozy says, give, take. That's all right. I tend to give 90%. I like to say, I'll build the house for you. I'll let you look in the windows. Might even give you a little guided tour, but you're not
Yeah.
getting the fucking front door keys. That's what you get when we work
Yes.
together, right?
I love that so much because uh, I give, I would say 95% of information I give.
Mhm.
But the magic comes in with the implementation. And that's the thinking partner that I am for my clients and that I believe you are too, because theory is wonderful, right? You can go out to social media and do a YouTube search. You can learn how to do pretty much anything. And I'm going to use my AI mentor as an example. He's got a Facebook group with 250,000 people. Shout out to Jonathan Mast. And massive value in this Facebook group, from learning prompting, learning image design. Like, he literally gives it all away. Now, most people aren't going to implement what he's teaching in those Facebook posts. They're not.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he shared a YouTube video and I watched it. I had to rewind a couple spots a couple times, and I had something mastered. And I shared my results in the group. And I said, "Thank you, for this YouTube training. This was awesome. Here's what my output was." That post got him I don't know, 4 clients, 5 clients, because I'm sharing that I'm doing what he says. I just provided massive value to him.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I do that all the time for other people because I'm learning from stuff. And I was in his challenge this week. He does a week-long challenge every month. It's $97 to join his challenge. Now, of course, he's promoting it in a group of 250,000 people. He's already provided massive value to those people. So when they pay, they know they're going to get even more, and it's going to be implementation. And I follow that same example. And I've seen some of the stuff you do that you invite people to. You do the same exact thing. And I think people are afraid to give
Mm.
like that.
I think you're right. And I think no, thank you. I appreciate that. It sure sounds
Mhm.
very kind. I think you are. I think you're right there. I think as well, Karen says theories everywhere, and she's right. I
Yeah.
think as well, there's a real element here, and it's let's just bring all the honesty to the front, and let's get
Yeah.
the curtain completely back.
Yeah.
You jump on a challenge with me. I will
Mhm.
fucking overload you with information. Intentionally, I will do so. I've
Yeah.
got no problem with that, and I take full ownership of that. Why? Because I want you to be able, whether it's Flora, Karen, whether it's, I think Thomas just popped up, all these different people, whoever
Mhm.
it is in there. I want the real dedicated hard
Yes.
workers that can sit by, get that shit for free, and truly make an extra 10, 20K, 100K,
Yeah.
whatever it is that month. But guess what? It's a lot of information. And just
Mhm.
like I learned in teaching, you can have the best teacher in the world, but if you don't get feedback, you're bollocksed. Because
Yeah.
it's only when we mess up and get something wrong do we truly begin to learn and succeed. I'm a big believer in that. That's what I would always tell the kids I worked with.
Yeah.
So it's vital, actually, that yes, there will always be a certain amount of people who will go through a challenge or a workshop, whatever it is, if it's a free one especially, or even if it's low ticket, and they will learn a shit ton. So much, Suzanne. You've been on some of mine before.
Yeah.
Give it. But the idea is that those who have the time, the resources, perhaps the patience, perhaps an
Mhm.
element of experience, perhaps this is built. They've just found at the exact right point, Suzanne, which
Yeah.
builds on their prior experience, and this is just that next step that takes them. That's perfect.
Yeah.
Lovely. No problem with that. I know they'll come back later on. That's
Yeah.
absolutely fine. But it's
Yeah.
people that are doing it, they're going, fuck, darn, I get this. I get it. But you know what? Wouldn't it be nicer just to have you working with me through it?
Yeah.
So I'm shortcutting it. I'm getting that direct answer, that direct feedback, rather than having to figure it out in the dark by myself. And
Yeah.
again, those are the people that you end up converting. So it goes one of three ways. One, the action fakers who sign up for events, turn up halfway through,
Or off
don't take
camera.
any off camera off, obviously,
Yeah.
eating or doing the housework whilst they're listening,
Uh-huh.
then log off, come back the next day. They'll always be there or thereabouts, but they'll never take action.
Yeah.
And there's just a type of person this is. Well, those are the ones who unfortunately never make it to where they deserve to be because they don't take that massive action, even just action, the action fake. They think by signing up to something, sitting there, paying half attention, but not implementing it, that'll do. I'm being busy. And I'm not saying this is Flora, but I think that's the ebook mentality and the free book mentality.
Oh,
I'll
look,
hoard
I'm learning
gigabytes.
something. Oh, look.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally,
Yeah.
totally. And I think even myself, I read Russell Brunson's books years ago and never implemented them. Read them cover to cover. My God, this is brilliant. Didn't implement them. We've got to implement things. So there's those people there, the action fakers. Then there's those who just get it, implement it, works for them perfectly. They'll come back at a later stage. And then there are those further down the funnel who is like, yeah, I get it, I understand it, but I want help now. And you're the person to give me that help. Takes about 6 hours to go back to your question about consistency. Takes about 6 to 7 hours, more or less, Suzanne, of exposure to somebody's content for you to become, know, like, and trust them. Just believe this person gets me, they can solve the problem.
Yeah.
That works out roughly, if it takes 2 minutes to read a post, Monday through Friday, 42 weeks on LinkedIn. And that's assuming they see your content every day, Monday through Friday, which we know they don't. Or we can do live streams, webinars, challenges, and shortcut that really, really quickly. So there's so many ways to do it.
I love that so much because, I'm telling people it takes, if only 1% of your followers, your group members or your list is seeing what you're doing on a daily basis, you have to repeat yourself so often. I recently came up with 900 different ways to talk about my year-long program. 900 different ways to talk about what that program delivers, not the pain points it solves, but what it delivers, what you're going to feel like, how you're going to be, what 900. And it was totally overwhelming to me. Oh my God, I'm going to have to repeat myself that much because it's a new program for me. It's a new offer for me. And I realize if I don't repeat myself hundreds of times, only 1% of my followers are going to see it, which means I'm not going to get any purchases, right? And I think that's something that people forget. And I want to go back to what you said about exposure. This is why I do a monthly workshop, a monthly free workshop that I want to get people in the Zoom room with me. And I know you do the same thing. I want that interaction and I want you to see me, not a PowerPoint. I'm not hiding behind slides. I want you to see me, feel my emotion, feel my passion for what I'm teaching you. And sometimes it's scheduled for an hour and I go for 2. And at the end, people are like, oh my God, I feel like I was drinking from a fire hose. Awesome. Not changing that. Right. And I just think if more people could do that and be that for, I don't care if one person shows up for your workshop, you over deliver for that person. And I ask them to talk about it. If I had one person show up, tell me what you would do. If you had one person show up, I would ask that I would serve them powerfully, and I would ask them for some kind words, whether it was a LinkedIn testimonial or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Most
absolutely. That'd
most
be the
people would
101.
cancel the workshop
Yeah,
because there's only one person there.
it's ego, and that comes down to ego. It does. It comes
Yeah.
down to I deserve more than one, or even actually the opposite. I
Yeah.
failed because I've only got one signed up. I always just feel,
Oh,
grow up, man. You've got one more than zero. Do you know what I mean? If you've got
yeah.
zero, and even if you've got zero, fuck it, don't cancel it. Record it and send it out as a free training, as a webinar or something. You've allocated 1 hour of your time to this thing. So if
Yes.
you've not been successful in it, ask why. What's the reason? So I always say there should be a 2-week pre-launch, a week launch, and a 2-week post-launch.
Oh,
So
thank you.
thank you, right?
Repeat it. Repeat it for those in the back.
2-week pre-launch, week of the launch week, 2-week post-launch. And again, I've seen people, and it's frustrating. I've seen wonderful clients who perhaps they've not, and it comes down to that I didn't get what I expected. And so what we do is we simply reverse engineer it. And it's a case of, how were your 2 weeks pre-launch? Well, no, let's go back and look at your content. Remember I said, no, it's yeah, I did. So what you did was you actually posted about 4 different things and your offer once. So you confused your audience. They didn't know what was happening. So you've confused them there. Now, in the actual presentation itself, it was good, but you've got a confused audience, the wrong audience coming. And then the post-launch is a little bit of a, I feel bad about it, so I don't want to email them too much. So you email them twice in the post-launch sequence. It's like, that's only ever happened to one client, and it was, I think this person was just really overwhelmed with everything. They were running too many different things at once. The audience were confused about their offer, but really to have that the 2 weeks post-launch, that's when you've got those people who are, as my friend Nancy Zero would say, you might know Nancy yourself, your number 6 and number 8 buyers. They take 6 to 8 touch points. Number 6 is tend to be that little bit more conservative by the rules, need a bit more time. Number 8 tend to be super focused on ROI. They tend to be very analytical. Social proof doesn't matter to them. They're wanting to work out for themselves, right? So it's your number 2s and 4s. They will instantly buy. The 2s will have bought almost before the webinar. You'll be halfway through. They'll be getting their credit cards ready, right? The other 2s and 4s will then buy during the webinar, which is why urgency, FOMO works really nicely. But then there are going to be a chunk, 40 to 50% of people who just need that wee bit longer, Suzanne. I don't know. I will not spend
I agree.
I won't spend over 1K on the call with you. I will not. I never have. I will always ask to think about it. Give me 24 or 48 hours, I've told people to fuck off because I've really wanted their thing. It's been 10K and they've tried to FOMO. They've tried to pressure sell me. And I've just gone, I can't trust you.
Right.
I want to buy from you. I can't trust you.
Yeah. Well, I love the post-launch because some of the most magical things that I have done in the last 2 years is after an event. So my last event was all about 14 different AI tools that every entrepreneur should know about to increase productivity. It had a great title. It got great. I think I had 188 people register.
Beautiful.
Which that's really good for, me posting it on Facebook, my list, and LinkedIn. And so 188 register. How many people in the room? 40 people in the room. That's about the numbers right now with events. So the magic comes in what am I sending those 188 people after the event? I want them to know they missed magic in the room. So it's going to be a great thumbnail. It's going to be the YouTube replay in the email, plus some extra little thing, whether it's a Google Doc with what I talked about. And the new secret I just learned is to make the Google Doc, they have to request access. So then I know who has requested access to the bonus, which
nice.
it's a miracle. because it shows you who's taking action. It shows you who's actually really interested. They watch
Mm-hmm.
the replay because, I'm watching the count go up on YouTube, but then keeping track of who's getting the value from your email, it's genius.
Okay, so that's really nice. So for the post-launch sequence, what you're saying to me here, Suzanne, is we can have a Google Doc,
Mhm.
private, request access. So that's really smart because you see exactly, you can keep a spreadsheet, exactly who it is that's requesting access to that. I'm
Yep.
imagining it's a link to an unlisted video on YouTube, would it be? So it's not public
Mhm.
for everyone to see. Of course it is. Lovely stuff. And maybe what I'd be saying here is some sort of extra value. So there's some sort of extra little bonus on top of the video. So it could be
Yes.
people love cheat sheets, they
Yes.
love infographics, they love flow grid diagrams, all that
Yeah.
sort of thing. So that's what you would be doing. That's a really smart thing. And
Yeah.
then obviously having the countdown for the last 2 weeks. It's so important the post launch
Mhm.
sequence. As we say, 40 to 50% of people are in there. I really like Suzanne. It's a lot of money. Or,
Mhm.
oh, what about the time? So use those 2 weeks to overcome their objections. You should be
Yes.
doing this during a webinar anyway. You should be overcoming internal objections. I'm not techie. I don't have the time to. I'm not good at doing this. I don't believe I'm good at this. And the
Mhm.
external objections as well. I don't have the time would be another one as well. I don't have the money. What would the friends say? What would family say? Am I ready for this? If we can subtly be overcoming those objections within the webinar, that pushes those people on the call who are ready to buy. But then the post-launch sequence, 2 weeks, it should be following up with these sorts of things: case
Yeah.
studies, testimonials, stories, times that
Well,
I
you
was
could
scared
even
because
put
of
those
anything.
in the Google Doc. So if the Google Doc is a checklist, right? There's a little thank you message, a link to your calendar, and then read some of my case studies below. And I mean, it's it's like a sales page, and it can be like a sales page with massive value without the feeling of go buy my program, here's the link to buy it, right? It just feels more genuine, and it is. Like, I'm not saying this is fake. It's real and it's genuine.
Love it. And I would say that final day, 6 hours, 12 hours out, then 6 hours out, sometimes even one
Mhm.
hour out, I do lay on the fear of missing out. I lay on the urgency. It's how I do it. Again, there's not a right or wrong right or a
Yeah.
wrong manner, but we should be 2 week post launch. We should be sending out emails at least every 2 days as we get closer to the close date, the
Mhm.
cart closing. It's daily. And there's always a feeling, I always have people say to me, yeah, but I might lose subscribers for that. So fucking what? They weren't going to buy from me in the first place. Don't stress
Right.
about it. And I think it mitigates. You're able to balance it, Suzanne, if you're regularly providing value. If you're
Yeah.
doing a daily email blast, or at least every 2 or 3 days, if they're getting so much value, if this offer isn't for them, they just choose not to open that email. And
Right.
that's okay, because they know that once the next day comes, it's back to pure value. So they're not going to come off. So an email list is earned. We
Yes.
don't have the privilege or the right just to think, just because some Muppet signed up for my free ebook, therefore they are on my email list, they're going to stay there forever. No, getting them on the email list is actually the easy part. Getting them to stay is harder, and getting them to buy is the key. What do you think, Suzanne?
Perfect. Perfect. And um, Jason Croft is here. He's my incredible podcast producer, and
Hey,
he's the
Jason.
one that taught me how to make that Google Doc request access. So thank you, Jason.
Nice,
Passing
Jason.
that on to everybody. Massive. He's of massive value every week, and I share him. See, this is another really cool point. When you're a value like that to other people, they share you. I share you with people you don't even know. Like, you don't even, I haven't made an introduction to you personally, but I'm like, go follow him, he'll tell you what to do. Like, and that ripple effect, that people talking about you in rooms you're not in, is something Jason talks about on one of his podcasts with Joe Blackburn. Um, but it's one of those things that it's another exposure. to you.
Mhm.
So if somebody's coming to Darren from, oh, Suzanne told me I go check out Darren Gibb. Well, if they see you here on the show, that's two. I've said go check you out. Then they see you here on my show. That's two. That's two exposures before they've even come into your world. And there's so much value in
And they're
that.
from a trusted source. Who
Yes.
is STK, isn't it, Suzanne?
Yeah.
STK said, Darren,
Yeah.
right, well, I love her. She's never let me down. And
Right.
that's such a warmer. And you're right, even though it's not an introduction per se, let's
Mhm.
say, it is an introduction insofar as it's that recommendation that, yeah, this
Yeah.
person's good. They're a good person. You will like them. And the
Right.
like is part of the triad of know, like, and trust. If we can get that like beforehand, it leads to the trust, which leads
Yeah.
to the no, or no leading to trust, depending which way. So yeah,
Yeah.
agreed.
And then
Amazing.
the borrowed trust. You're on my show today. You shared it with your tribe. Thank you so much. So could there be trust that your listeners have in me because you're here with me? Yes, absolutely. Why do you think Jason, my producer, recommended me doing a podcast in a different format than a lot of people do? I was doing a live stream anyway. Well, let's turn it into a podcast and use that, the idea of having conversations with people, not interviews, conversations. Like I feel like I'm sitting in a coffee shop shooting the shit about business with Darren, and such a privilege, such an honor, right? And then my tribe feels like that about you too, but also me.
Yeah.
And so it's incredible. So
I
thank
think
you.
it's so, no, thank you, sister. And I think it's so important as well, Suzanne. I think that too many LinkedIn lives are generally done pretty poorly. I think they're
Mm.
generally pretty boring. It's either a lot of flexing or a lot of interview style. And I think that, yeah, the
Yeah.
coffee shop kind of idea is nice. We didn't come on here with a set of fucking 20 bullet points that we had to hit. No, we just knew it was going to
Yeah.
be around content marketing, creation, client acquisition, DM, and we'll just see where it goes. And I
Yeah.
just think it leads for such a more organic, beautiful, and natural
Yeah.
conversation. And as you say, it is who you and I are. Perhaps for some people, Suzanne, perhaps they need the interview format because that's what they believe their audience wants, which it probably actually isn't, but they believe it is. They need that more formal kind of setup. But I
Yeah.
think this is where it should be. I think, especially on LinkedIn, we're kind of tired of that, and it's just time to have normal
Agreed.
conversations. And I think what can come out of these conversations like this are just so much more fruitful and interesting because it's a shared natural desire and conversation which is led upon
Yeah.
or led by what one another find interesting. And I just think that's so much more fun.
I do too. A perfect segue into Coaches in Conversation is an event that I've been hosting for over 2 years, once a month, inviting coaches into the room with an expert on a topic that's relevant for us, from pricing to offers to
Mm,
visibility. All kinds of incredible people have joined to have that conversation in that room. And Darren, you've agreed to be November's conversation starter in my event. So thank you very much. And for
thank
all
you.
those coaches that are out there listening, if you want an invitation to Coaches in Conversation, it's the third Wednesday every month at 4 p.m. Eastern. Darren's going to be the guest this month. So if you want to attend, just hit me up with a DM or a comment below this video, and I will get that invitation to you. Darren, any final words for our audience today?
It's just been a blast. Genuinely, I could go for another 20 minutes. I'm not even joking. I think it's amazing. I think so many, especially you and I, kind of both serve coaches, executive coaches, increasingly more so. I'm really enjoying working with, but I love working with other coaches as well. And I think it's something that can be quite a lonely experience
Yeah.
sometimes. And
Yeah.
I think it's important to have coaches conversations. It's important to be doing lives like this. It's important to be within masterminds, within networking groups, within having coaches like yourself, like me. I think these things are really important because it can
Yeah.
be quite a lonely existence. And I think that there's just so many incredible people who aren't marketers, Suzanne. They spent 15, 20 years doing something that they enjoyed, but they feel that there's more to life for them, and they tend to go into the coaching realm, and they come in without this kind of knowledge. So that's why, as I say, conversation with coaches is brilliant, because you've got pricing, offer creation, value creation. I'll be talking about social media, how to be doing DM strategy, which is what really almost 99% of people get wrong. You know, people just go in and have a conversation, and before they know it, they're the best friend of the person. They know the person's dog's name, wife's favorite ice cream flavor, name of the kid's school, but it's too awkward to take it into an actual conversation and a sales call. So a lot of it is down, this is what I'm going to be speaking to your group about. So much of it is down to what we call framing and having frame control.
Yes.
We all naturally have frames, whether we realize it or not, but being able to control our own frames is what makes for a DM conversation that goes into a call. So we're the expert frame. That's really important. We're the expert in our space, and no matter who it is we're speaking to, we maintain that frame. We've also got the power frame, where what we're doing is we're getting people to answer questions that we answer. So it sounds horrible, but we're conditioning them, emotionally conditioning them with this idea: ask a question, answer, ask a question, you answer. We emotionally lead them through our content, which looks at symptoms. We get them into DMs. We emotionally lead them through commonality, into finding this symptom or pain point, finding out if we are the one to be able to help it, to offer a bit of value, and then jump onto a call. And by the time that they're actually on that call, they see you as their Dios, they see you as their God, they see you as their expert. Suzanne really gets me. When somebody has that feeling, Suzanne, it's a really easy conversion. So that's what we'll be looking forward to.
We're gonna have so much fun, and we'll be able to go as long as we want for Coaches in Conversation November. Thank you. Appreciate you.
Brilliant. And listen, thank you so much as well for having me. All of you watching, I know it's been a really steady stream. I'm seeing it here as well. So we've had Flora, we've had Karen, we've had Jonathan, I think we've had Thomas, Jeff. Thank you all, and everyone on your beautiful side as well that's been watching. And thank you so much for having my friend. We'll have to do it again, definitely.
Yes, I loved it. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in for another episode of Unlock Your Way with STK. And if you're looking for more incredible people like this guy, let me know, and I'll get you an invitation to the Idea Lab community over on the school platform, or just come hang out with us on LinkedIn. We would love it. Have a great day, everyone.